After being lost at sea for an entire week, we've finally reached our destination, the Witchwood. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Salty Dog Podcast, episode 41.
Let's get salty!
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Salty Dog Podcast. I'm your Captain Dookie, joined by, as always, Captain Clash. We are your salty captains. So, yeah, we were lost at sea for a week, but we're back to dive into all that juicy Witchwood stuff.
All the spooky Witchwood stuff, you mean, right?
Very, very, very spooky and juicy. At the same time, during this a month of not October.
Right.
You want to start us off with how your week or weeks in Hearthstone have gone?
Sure. So I basically surprisingly haven't played anywhere near as much as I would normally during, a brand new expansion release. That's kind of I just wanted to talk just briefly about like why we had to skip last week, right after the release of the new expansion, which really sucked. But I've just been going through like some personal stuff. Like if any of you guys follow me on my Twitter, I had mentioned that. And yeah, it's just been a bit of a rough time. So as far as Hearthstone goes, I've just barely really scratched the surface of Witchwood. I've played with a couple different decks. But I just want to thank also Captain Dookie. We're streaming on his channel instead of mine this time because he just kind of took the lead on putting this show together. And yeah, that's why we ended up on his channel and then why we had to skip last week. But what about your week in Hearthstone? Have you had a chance to like play more of the meta than I have, maybe?
Yeah, I think so. I haven't gotten super competitive with it, like laddering a lot. I'm still doing just a lot of deck testing. And a lot of that is kind of revolving around what quests I end up getting. With the even an odd potential for every single deck, it feels like there's so many more potential archetypes to mess with. Like if I don't have the cards for a Q block, which I don't, and I have a Warlock quest, I can just easily be like, well, why don't I make it a Gen deck and draw cards for 1 mana and make it like hyper aggro or something. So there's just a lot of options to toy with Gen and Baku, as well as just standard builds. And of course, the main thing I've been tinkering with is Paladin. All three things that I tried for Paladin, which were secrets, even, and odd, those are all in the meta right now, which I felt pretty good about. I was like, okay, I figured out what was gonna hit. So that's mainly what I've been messing with. I think my odd Paladin's probably my best deck right now. But yeah, it's been fun. I think when the meta settles, we're kind of going to go back to a lot of the archetypes that we have been being oppressed by, like Q-Block or, Spiteful Dragon Priest. But right now, it seems like people just want to try the new cards. So there's just almost everything you could imagine is, like, viable right now.
Yeah, I mean, Q-Block, though, Q-Block's still very, very oppressive. But I actually think that, especially just with a little bit that I have been on ladder, it's been overwhelmingly Paladin.
Yeah.
And Paladin has just like gotten so many tools to like never truly be able to be taken off the board. It's just insane. Like board wipes almost don't mean anything to Paladin anymore, especially the Baku versions where, your hero power is like so much board reload. And level up is finally getting to see some play.
Yeah, it's all these things. Like we're already eating our words on Silver Sword because that goes in the even Paladin deck, and it's just another way to.
Really? Wow, I didn't even know that. I've still never seen it come down. Like not that I've played a whole ton, but I've never even in the Gen decks I've never seen it come down. Maybe they just didn't draw it or it was a different version. But I do feel like I've been seeing a lot of different versions, like a lot of different deck constructions even with like the same archetypes or whatever. So that's always cool, you know, but I do feel like, you know, the meta is just always settling like pretty quickly. So
yeah, I think within a couple weeks we'll be seeing probably half as many decks as we are now. So
right,
because it's you know it's fresh and it's new and people are trying crazy stuff.
Definitely.
But yeah, I mean, you know, with it's always a two-edged sword for me when my favorite class is kicking ass, because you know, I don't want to be that scumbag that's you know, contributing to the problem, but at the same time I like the fact that Paladin's good. Murloc Paladin is also up there, like tier 1, so it's just,
that's really surprising to me, especially since they lost, like, you know, one of their great 1-drop Murlocs.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's pretty standard. I mean, that's the Paladin playstyle I like, to where like I don't care if you board wipe me, I can reload better the next turn. So yeah, it's I've been having fun with that. There's also what the Tavern Brawl was like, so underwhelming. It was just,
I can't even remember what it was.
Yeah, it was,
to be honest.
It was Jade Idols, or not Jade Idols, it was Raven Idols. Yeah, it's just like a rehashing. Yeah, just like the most uninventive throwaway Tavern Brawls. Not much to report there. Also, many of you probably have noticed that the Monster Hunt feature of Witchwood is not in the game yet. Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, I was thrown. I was like, oh, I kind of ran out of stuff that I wanted to do, and I was like, oh, I could play Monster Hunt, and then I was like, I don't even see it. And then I looked it up, and they were like, it'll be out in 2 weeks. Like, oh, yeah, it's really strange that it didn't release with it this time. It's like, what, were they not done with it, or like, I don't know. I mean, because the dungeon run thing released with Kobolds and Catacombs. It's just kind of strange. Yeah. So this will probably be a little bit of a shorter show. We don't have a whole lot to talk about, but we are going to go over basically what we're seeing in the meta right now, and also a Ben Brode video where he answered a bunch of questions from people, and I have the highlights of that here, but you can go on YouTube and watch it. So let's dive into the news. Yeah.
What's happening?
Gadgets and Gazette always gets the scoop.
Time is money, friend. Keep it quick, kid. I ain't got all day.
So, like I said, we got a big, robust meta. Basically, everything kind of works right now. So what we're seeing at like tier 1 is Even Paladin, Murloc Paladin, Quest Rogue, and Spiteful Druid.
Spiteful Druid is the one I didn't expect. Yeah, but I played against one and I was like, Spiteful, and then I was like, oh yeah, Ultimate Infestation. That's 10 mana. One of just the best 10 mana spell. I mean, arguably, like, Mind Control, like, you know, can win certain matchups that Ultimate Infestation doesn't help you with, but Ultimate Infestation is so good. Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah, it's like, well, of course you're going to run that. It's not even like a detriment to your deck to run a 10 mana spell when it's Ultimate Infestation. So, well, really, it's not a detriment because of Spiteful. Summoner is like the main thing. Well, yeah, I mean, it's a synergy. Yeah, it's insane. It's already a good card. Mana cheat, like, basically, I think, like, one of the main problems I have with, like, most of the reasons why decks, like, surface to be the best decks in Hearthstone is they all are basically ways to, like, circumvent mana restrictions. Mm-hmm. Like, even though we've never had a card that directly discounts cards, like, mana costs, like, since Tharson, or you know, like, they've been really shitty, like Shadow Fiend, which never saw play, even though he did, like, he discounted a card when you drew it. But, like, we have all these, like, new ways that amount to the same thing. It's like, you can get a 10-drop out with 6 mana, plus an additional 4/4 body attached to it with Spiteful Druid. Yeah, you know? You know, even Gen and Baku, they're, like, cheating out, like, better mana ratios on your hero powers, and obviously it makes sense that that would be really good in Paladin because Paladin makes minions, and minions
Right.
are really good to have.
Yes.
So
Yeah, it's not surprising that even Paladin and Odd Paladin both work. And I thought it was going to be Odd Paladin that would end up at tier 1, but I guess even just really goes balls to the wall. So
yeah. It's weird when you get beaten by an even paladin. It almost feels like the days of old Face Hunter. Like you don't even know what's happening to you. You're just like slowly dying. You're just like, I can't stop the bleeding. You know,
just sources of damage. Just because you know it's got the whole call to arms, knife juggler, direwolf alpha package, where you're just pulling out all this stuff and it's just like knife, damage. It's crazy. The one I didn't expect to see on tier 1 was Quest Rogue.
Quest Rogue.
It's back.
I just got beaten down by it earlier today, and I hadn't seen it before. And I was like, I matched against it, and I was like, okay, Rogue. And I'm playing Spiteful Priest right now with Free from Amber and Mind Control, but I'm playing a slightly different version where I'm trying the whole Coffin Crasher thing with the statues instead of like the meta version, which doesn't use those. But I was like, oh, okay, tempo rogue, you know, of some kind. I'll be able to beat this easily. I just need to hold on until I get my, you know, combos going, and like I'll have infinite, you know, sustain against this damage.
Yeah.
And then I see the quest come down, and I'm like,
what?
Wow. Wow. Like I just did not expect that at all. And as soon as I was like, well, if they have a reliable way to complete the quest, I'm gonna die.
Yep.
And I died.
Yep. So. That's how that card works.
Mm-hmm. Because the deck's not fast enough, right? You know, like I can't.
Yeah.
I don't understand how Quest Rogue is doing so well in a meta that's dominated by aggro paladin. I think that's the main thing I'm having trouble figuring out.
Yeah, I don't know. I actually haven't faced one since the expansion came out, but I'm sure I will. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it seems like Paladin could just own the board and get the job done before the rogue could get the quest off, but I guess it works.
I guess so. I don't know. I guess like maybe they're using some kind of taunt. Oh yeah, they are definitely using the 0/2 taunt divine shield. The wax, because that comes out as a 5/5 taunt divine shield,
wax,
obviously.
Wax elemental. That's pretty busted.
Right, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I was pretty surprised to see Quest Rogue. That was the most shocking thing. Spiteful Druid, like I always figured that would end up being a thing because Ultimate Infestation is so good. And I guess it finally just like found its time.
Yeah.
But I still feel like out of all these things though, like for me personally, that's just the most frustrating thing is just still Q block. Because like it's all very combo based and stuff, and like it can be countered, or whatever, but like there are some times when you just can't, like if they get an early Spirit Singer Umbra or something and you just can't deal with it, and then they just play the lackey and get an instant activation and pull out a Doom Guard, and then they Dark Pact it and get a Void Lord, and you're like, how are you doing this all in turn 5?
Yeah.
Like, stop. It's so tilting.
Yeah, when it goes off, and there's really not much. If you don't have an answer, then you're kind of screwed. But I have found, I feel like I'm able to poke more holes in it lately with these new Paladin builds. Obviously, running Silence is a huge thing. I mean, that's probably the main thing, honestly. But man, you can really build a terrifying board repeatedly with Paladin these days, and I think that's enough to get the job done sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the fact that you can never, like, it doesn't matter how many board wipes you're running. Like I actually feel like we're seeing decks without board wipes more than we ever have. Like board wipes are just like not even like a viable strategy anymore.
Yeah.
It's so strange.
Yeah,
like you're not seeing any kind of big spell mage or control mage that uses Flame Strike or Blizzard or any of that kind of stuff. Like even the one mage deck that's kicking around that does use Frost Lich is like a super on board, like using stuff like Fireflies and Tar Creepers and just like cheap minions to like stay in the early part of the game. It's a weird place that we're living in. It's a very, very, very board centric Hearthstone that we're living in right now.
Yeah, and I think that's what Blizzard has been trying to do the past like year or two. Let's make it a more a battle for the board rather than you know, winning with a bunch of charge or, you know, using spells to just completely swing everything in your favor in one turn. But at tier 2, we have basically everything else. We've got Control Mage, Q Block, who fell down a peg, Mind Blast Priest, Miracle Rogue, Odd Paladin, Odd Rogue, which is a nasty one because they get that free weapon and the dude that gets +1/+1 whenever you attack. Spiteful Priest, Taunt Druid, which runs Hadronox, so look at that, he's seeing play. Tempo Mage, Tempo Rogue, and Zulok. That's all tier 2.
Right. So, I mean, you know, realistically, that means that they're just a couple percentage points away from tier 1 decks, so these are all still really good decks.
Yeah.
Just as far as win rate's concerned, they're all still in the green.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like a decent pool of stuff. I've never personally seen the Odd Rogue, but I always did think that that guy that you ended up using in your Baku Paladin deck with the Lights Justice, the guy who gets +1/+1 when you attack, I've always thought that he was really good, especially for Rogue, so that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, oh yeah, I know, yeah, I'm actually running Lights Justice in my Odd Paladin deck to get that guy just outrageously strong.
Yep, because you can almost look at him as like a daring reporter, like if you can attack every turn, you know. It's pretty insane. And you get to activate it the turn he comes out, and you get a 3 mana 4/4, which is overstated, and you know, has a decent likelihood to live. So yeah, I'm digging it. Yeah, just a lot of weird. This Mind Blast Priest got me earlier today. I was like, oh really?
Yeah.
What does it do? Because I've never seen it.
I don't. It just does priest things like Duskbreaker and just control and lots of taunt and lots of healing. And then I kept having to like trade into their minions with my face and stuff like that. And I had to like anticipate the board wipes, and it was pretty neck and neck. But it was basically I was within one turn of winning. I had like a full board of leveled up Silverhand recruits. Half of them were leveled up twice. And they couldn't get through with their minions. But then they got a Mind Blast off of a Shadow Visions, and then like Mass Dispelled everything, and then attacked with their stuff, and then Mind Blasted me twice. And I was like, okay, I guess that's it. So I don't know if it's running I don't know if it's running like Velen or something.
I would assume that it's running Velen and probably the
so.
thing that copies, you know?
Yeah. So I might not have even seen the whole package there, but it still worked. I've been seeing Quest Warrior go around. Lots of taunt. There's a lot of taunt going around.
Yeah, especially in the Druid. You know, they gave Druids so much taunt and stuff that I kind of like it. I like playing the Odd Druid, but I just got totally blown out of the water by Spiteful Druid. There was literally nothing I could do.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like I had control at first, and I was like, I'll just set up all these taunts, and I'll Hadronox, and I'll get them all back, and everything's going to be just fine. And then on turn 6, a Spiteful Summoner brings out a Tyrantus.
Yeah, it's like, always Tyrantus.
Except for when I use it, you know? Like, the very few times that I've actually gotten Spiteful Summoner out since I've been playing post-expansion, I get Emerus every fucking time.
Yep, Emerus.
10 mana 8/8.
Versus 10 mana 12/12 Shroud.
Yeah. I was so mad, too, against the Spiteful Druid because I had a Naturalize in my hand. And I'm like, well, that doesn't do anything to the Tyrantus.
Nope. So, yeah, just very, very diverse. That's tier 2. We're not done yet. Tier 3 has Combo Priest, which I don't know what the difference between that and Mind Blast Priest is. Maybe it's Inner Fire or something.
Combo. Yeah. They use combo to mean Inner Fire, but that got definitely weakened since the rotation of Pint-Sized Potion, which was a major contributor to that.
I got wrecked by an 88 Northshire cleric the other day, though, so it
has to be Northshire cleric.
It has to be Northshire.
It's gotta be.
Control locks in tier 3, so it's just not as good as cube lock, but it's there. Odd Face Hunter, which that was one of the first decks I started seeing people use because they want that ballista shot.
That was the first deck I tried to make, and I was really disappointed in like its lack of performance. Like you feel like you're gonna feel like you have so much power with that hero power, and it just doesn't feel like it. Like you feel like you use it a whole bunch, but you can just like never get bored, and like you're almost dead, and they're at like 17. You're like, yeah, this didn't work.
Whenever I'm on the receiving end of it, I'm just like, ow, 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 stop. I mean, I think that has to go. Well, yeah. Called Odd Face Hunter. That has to go super aggressive. I mean, you got your skill commands and all your 1-drops and all the amazing Hunter 3-drops. Your 3 slots always packed as Hunter.
Yeah, so. It's just so hard to get bored these days.
Yeah.
Like it's not easy. You can't just like use an animal companion and expect it to live. It's just like, it's crazy out there.
Another deck that's in tier 3, which this makes me happy, is Shudder Shaman, because that was the first gimmicky deck that I saw come out of Witchwood, and they did their Grumble Shudder. It sounds like someone who's like really hungover. They're just like grumbling and shuddering.
Drunk Shaman.
Yeah, Drunk Shaman, where they get all the stuff with Battle Cry, like the bee that drains your health, and
that's the only card that enables that entire deck.
Yeah,
the thing, the Life Drinker. They would literally just do nothing otherwise, because they play the Grumble first, which makes the Shudder Walk return all of the copies of itself that it makes because of the Serenite Chain Gang just back to their hand.
Yeah.
So they never end up actually doing anything. It's just like they throw them out, and you have to sit there and watch like a 20-minute cinematic of them stealing like 9 health from you.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, that was so amazing. And I know you're just going to do it again next turn, and it's going to all happen twice now.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, it's really annoying.
Yeah, that was just a stupid, annoying, gimmicky cheese deck, and I'm glad that it's already fallen down to tier 3. I'm glad other things are able to stop that nonsense, because those are the types of decks that you and I both hate. And then last, but probably also least, Spell Hunter is in tier 3. I have not faced this yet in Witchwood.
No, I haven't either.
It's an interesting archetype. I'd like to see it do something. Sounds interesting, but yeah, I don't know. I don't have much to say about that one besides it's interesting.
Yeah, basically, yeah. I mean, I always like kind of wanted the Spell Hunter to work, but I didn't ever feel like they gave it enough support. Like, To My Side's not that great. Rock Delar, the weapon's not that great. You know, like all the rewards, they're not like Raza and like, what's his name, Reno, like levels of like rewards for meeting the deck construction requirements.
Yeah.
They're just like kind of okay. So
yeah, I agree. Yeah, like To My Side is like, if you get the full effect of this card, it's just a like appropriately costed card, like because Call of the Wild is 9, Animal Companion's 3, and then To My Side is 6. So you should just get 2 Animal Companions. You shouldn't have to do anything extra.
Right. I mean, technically, it's better than 2 Animal Companions because it's 1 card, right? Well,
sure, but Call of the Wild did the same thing, and
I know, and it was 3 of them, so really, it didn't make any sense.
No,
I agree.
But anyway, that's about it for where the meta's at right now. There's not even, I checked for like the Data Reaper report, and that's not even really like a thing yet for
Witchwood. It takes more data than we currently have to get like an official tier list, and it probably hasn't settled into like, there's probably still like, at least tweaks to be made to the deck constructions that are currently going around.
Yeah.
So get out there and do some theory crafting, folks.
Yeah, I think that's the takeaway message, is just about everything has some form of viability right now because the meta is just so diverse. So, I mean, if you want to try something, you've got so many options with all odd, even stuff in every class looking pretty solid right now. So, yeah, you could be the person that comes up with the meta deck. and makes it to legend and becomes a famous Hearthstone streamer. You know, it could be you. So get out there and think with your brain.
Use that big beautiful mind.
Use your mind and your brain and your head. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the it wasn't really a Q&A. It was this video posted by some weird YouTube channel. It wasn't Hearthstone, but it was Ben Brode basically answering some fan questions about Hearthstone, but the video was called The Unsolved Mysteries of Hearthstone. So I went ahead, you can find the video online easily, but I went ahead and jotted down the key points that I thought were interesting and kind of revealed you know, more about their design process, and maybe gave a few hints at what kinds of things we might be seeing in the future. So the first question that piqued my interest was how many sets are being worked on at a time. And he said the next 2 sets are in the final design process. So they are polishing up all the rest of the sets for the year. Like they're almost done. And then the first set of next year is in the initial design phase. So they're way further ahead than I thought they were.
Yeah, same. Because, you know, it's so easy to like look at things that are out now and be like, why did you even make this? It doesn't work. And then, you know, later, I mean, but they're clearly like, okay, we're going to release the first part of the package in this one, and then we'll just give them the next one in the next set.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they have a plan. That's not for me to determine. You know, we don't know their plan, their grand plan. Ben Brode,
you gotta wonder, like,
has a plan
how
for
much
us all.
happens that they didn't plan on. Like, stuff like that makes me wonder how much happens that they didn't plan on. Like, did they just know that this stuff was all going to be, like, as strong as it is now? Or
yeah, I mean, that actually gets addressed in a later question.
Okay.
But yeah, it's like, I don't know, when it's like, oh, Witchwood's coming out soon and they're revealing all these cards slowly, I'm like, are they not done designing them yet or what? But no, they're done. So as far as cards being designed, the question was, are they designed with the mechanics first or the theme first? And the answer was it's both. There are designs that they call top-down designs where they say, we want to make Sylvanas Windrunner a card. So they're like, boom, okay, Sylvanas. So what does she do?
Right.
And then there's the bottom-up designs where they're like, we want a card that when it dies, it steals one of your opponent's minions. What do we make that into? So it happens both ways.
Yeah. And that's important because, like, obviously they want to hit, like, certain key figures in World of Warcraft lore. Like, Sylvanas is a good example of that, even though she's been banished to the OP realm. But and then they just, like, want certain effects to change the way the game plays out and to shake up metas and to enable new archetypes. So it makes sense that they would use both to drive the game in a good direction and to keep the lore intact.
Yeah, definitely. And this is what I figured they did, you know. I kind of like was able to infer that just from playing the game for long enough.
Right.
So the next question was, are there card combos that players have found that the developers didn't expect? So this was a resounding yes. They gave the example of Freeze Mage and Miracle Rogue were 2 archetypes that they never saw coming. I guess they never, you know, thought of those interactions working the way they did.
Interesting.
And I thought it was funny that he didn't address Q block or you know, like things like Patron Warrior.
So I guess they just knew it was going to happen.
Right. You know, that's what you have to assume. They knew Patron Warrior was going to happen. They knew Q block was going to. No. So, you know, those were maybe a couple examples, but maybe I'm sure there are others. This next one was one I didn't even know about. If you make a warrior deck with Explore Un'goro,
you didn't know about this?
No, and King Togwaggle. So you explore Un'goro. You have to wait till it's all in your hand. You explore Un'goro, then you Togwaggle and switch both the decks, and then you play a Skulking Geist, which destroys all 1 mana cards in both decks. So since
there's a giant problem with that. They had Togwaggle's 8 mana, and they have a turn to play the card that he gives to switch the decks back to their original positions. So,
yeah, it's true.
I don't know why they would never why they would not do it. Like, you'd almost have to have a way to prevent them from using the ransom card or whatever to switch them back.
Yeah. Do you know what is it just a card they have to play?
Yeah, it's like 5 mana.
Huh.
To just switch it back or whatever. So like,
yeah,
it is like a crazy combo, but like you would have to not know what was happening to you. To
yeah.
You know what I mean?
So, but yeah, there's definitely stuff that they don't see coming that players figure out.
Freeze Mage is the most interesting thing to me. Like Miracle Rogue kind of makes sense because, like, I don't know, I didn't like look at Gadgets on Auctioneer and think I'll just fill my deck with 0-cost spells and somehow drawing my entire deck will make me win. But like there are cards that enable that. But Freeze Mage, it almost seems kind of obvious. It's like I'll just put in stall mechanics and spells that hurt my opponent's face, and a card that literally like if you just spend the whole game not doing anything to your opponent, it deals 15 damage with its battle cry. That all makes pretty much sense to me.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, that's something that they should have probably seen coming.
Yeah, that was just that's the one that sticks out to me.
Yeah. So next question, would the optimal state of the game be all classes having a tier 1 deck? He said yes, but that's nearly impossible because the meta is always shifting based on what players' preferences are. So, like right now, everyone's tinkering with Witchwood, and people are going to realize that certain things beat certain other things. So then those things will rise to the top, and then people will come up with new decks to beat those, and then it's just a cycle, and it just keeps going on and on like that. So like, I mean, I don't think it'll ever be possible where you're like, all right, I'm queuing up with Paladin against Druid, and there is literally a 50-50 chance of victory. Like, no, one deck's definitely going to have an edge, but then that deck might be weak to another deck. So in theory, that's what they would want, but they know it's basically impossible.
Yeah, that makes sense. It is like you said, people are probably like kind of preferring deck constructions that use some Witchwood cards when like maybe later on when it's not so new and glamorous, like it'll switch back to different older archetypes or less newer cards. And also I think also what they probably mean is like a preference for like aggro over control and stuff like that. So like you change what you're playing to ladder based on what you're seeing a lot of. So, even though it always seems like as soon as you switch, like you face the thing that you're weak to now when you switched. Like I started using Taunt Druid to try to like fight back against the even Paladins, and then I'm, fighting Q blocks again.
Right.
I'm like, no.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like it's that dance,
Yeah.
So
It's constantly evolving primordial goo.
You love that word. You need to make a card. Like one of our card challenges needs to be primordial goo.
Yeah.
From you.
What cards were you surprised didn't make a big enough impact? The one example that they gave was Valir the Hollow.
That makes me personally happy.
Yeah.
Because I thought that was going to be huge.
I mean, and it could still come back and be, a big part of a deck. But, I mean, I'm sure that was the only example he gave, but I'm sure there are a lot of others that they expected to do really well and then didn't. I have to imagine, like, a lot that happens a lot. Like, I mean, look at the fact that hand buff literally never was a thing. Like, they had to have thought that those cards were going to, make an impact. And then they didn't, but...
Yeah, Valir the Hollow just struck me right away. I was like, wow, that's so amazing. Like, play a second copy of anything.
Yeah.
I'm just as surprised as Brode. That didn't do better.
Yeah. So. One question I thought was pretty funny was, what's the elaborate secret hidden in the game board? So one of these I didn't know about. So when you fight the Lich King as priest, he silences you. He plays a card to silence you. But if you run mind vision, you can take the card from him and silence him. So
that's hilarious.
then you're both silenced, and if you try to emote to each other, it's just a bunch of muffled like.
That's pretty great.
So there's that, which I didn't know about. And then the other, like probably the most elaborate one, is the Un'goro Volcano, where if you hit the little drums in the right order, the volcano erupts.
I was so shocked at first, like, you know, because the first thing I wanted to do on that board was like set the volcano off. So, and I'm like clicking it. I'm like, how do you do it? You know, so that was a good one. But I feel like they left off one of the more elaborate ones, which is the on the one board where you can squash the plants and grow them back. You know, like when you hit the little gutter and water pours on them and it grows again.
Yeah.
There's like secret things that you can grow. Like there's like a few different vegetables, but then there's a boot. Yeah, and then there's a golden boot.
Wow.
Yeah, which is like the hardest thing to get. And I think there's a third one. I can't remember what it is. But like, you know, the ultimate thing is to keep squashing them and, you know, pouring the water on them until you get all three. Like, you know, so once you get a boot, like you stop squashing that one, you only squash the other two.
Yeah.
You know, like if you have nothing to do with your life, like you could do that. You know?
Yeah, I'll have to mess with that someday when I have nothing to do with my life. One interesting question was, what happens over time as cards rotate out of Classic to the Hall of Fame? So basically what that is addressing is like the Classic card pool starts to not be equal for all classes. So what they talked about was just putting cards from other sets into Classic to keep the card bases equal and like keep the flavor right. And the example he gave for Mage was Shatter, which is a bad card, but like it fits the Mage flavor.
Well, hopefully they'll at least give Mage the new like Shatter 2.0 like upgraded version that we got in Witchwood.
Yeah.
Which can at least freeze non-frozen targets.
But this question was interesting to me because that is something I wondered, like, you know, you're rotating things out of Classic, so you're just, that class is just going to have less cards. And it also, you know, having a core set like Classic in Hearthstone is similar to what they do in Magic the Gathering, where they have like, there's always a core set, you know, Magic 2018 or whatever. And a lot of the times it shares cards from like the previous year, but you know, over years and years and years, that core set has changed quite a lot. Whereas with Hearthstone, it's pretty much just staying the same, minus some things that they're taking out. So I think it would be really cool to take cards from older sets and just put them in to Classic to kind of round it out and make those cards like officially like part of the Classic Mage package or whatever.
Yeah, I agree. I actually think that I've always thought it would be really cool if they changed the class legendaries, at least for like a set or for like a year or something. And all like, you know, your classic set legendaries were switched to, you know, something from another set, just to kind of change like the base like flavor and like the base like, you know, power of those classes and stuff.
Or just add a second legendary for each class into Classic.
That's true too. You can also do that.
All the sets have two, don't they? At least nowadays they do.
Yeah, nowadays at least. I don't know if that was always their policy, but for a while now, it's usually been one legendary minion and one legendary of like something new, like a legendary weapon or a quest, but like this time around it was just two minions. Which would. So, yeah.
And so the last question, which I thought was interesting, because this is something that we've talked about a few times on the show, how did they come up with the fatigue mechanic? So originally they had it just like Magic, where as soon as you ran out of cards, as soon as you couldn't draw a card, you lost immediately. And
that's how Magic works.
Yeah. So what happened was they had Jeff Kaplan, who's the Overwatch game director, come in and like test Hearthstone, and he was really liking it, and he was having a lot of fun, just like learning the mechanics and how everything works. And then I think he was like about to like win his game, but then he immediately lost because he couldn't draw. And it was just like this like moment of like frustration for him, like, whoa, nothing I did mattered because I'm just dead now. So they realized they needed an alternative so that the entire game leading up to running out of cards actually matters. And they came up with the fatigue timer.
That makes sense. It does make sense. Like in Magic, all your mana crystals are in your deck, so like it's much more padded. So like decking in Magic is like unheard of. Pretty much. Yeah, exactly. So it does make sense for a game where you deck so much easier.
I think fatigue should maybe work a little differently. Like instead of, I think the fact that it's based on your health makes it a little too exploitable for certain classes, like warrior, who can, you know, get up to like 90 health and then just be like, all right, well, we're both fatiguing, but you're going to lose first. Because it's kind of an arbitrary resource to detract from as a death timer. I might prefer to see something like an actual like death timer, like time bomb. Like once it gets to 10, boom, it's over for you. Or something like that, but
yeah, I could see that. I mean, 10 turns seems like a while.
Yeah, it does
exist not drawing cards, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah, just because it's like, well, okay, I understand that you need to put a timer on this game, so that one of us, you know, can win, but does it have to be related to my health? Like, why does that make sense? So I don't know. That's really, I don't have an answer, but that's my thought on it.
Yep. Exactly. I agree with you.
Up next, we are actually bringing back a segment that we have skipped for a couple months now. Our salty card segment. Now that there's new fun stuff to play,
get pissed about.
Well, we're here to get pissed about it. Here comes our salty card section.
Yeah, you gotta be kidding me! What? Really?
So first up, I've got my salty card here. Yes, I am complaining about a priest card. It's not even a witchwood card. But now that this is priest's like only board wipe, I have to, like, you know, specifically single it out and say how much I hate it. But geez, so you're paying the same mana as Consecration, you're getting one more damage, and you're getting body. It's insane. It's just an insane board wipe. So that is my gripe with Duskbreaker. But I also know that it's the backbone of you know, all priest decks right now, basically.
Yeah, it is. I mean, there is one other board wipe for priest. It's the Psychic Scream.
Right.
You know, but you have to put everything back in their deck so nothing actually dies. Psychic Scream's a really interesting card too, because like a lot of the times board wipes, like, you know, are about running your opponent out of resources and like to the point where their deck's just like out of crap. But, like, you have to Psychic Scream, like, a really good board. And, yeah, it's amazing because you're getting around Death Rattles and, like, all this cool stuff. But, like, you're just giving them all those resources back to them. And they can just draw it again and, like, reset up. So it's just such, like, a weird thing.
Yeah. The board wipe selection for Priest is kind of weird right now. Like, I mean, Holy Nova's there, but that's never really been a super reliable one. That's more of, like, a improve your own board state spell, like do some strategic trading and then Holy Nova, and then some of your opponent's stuff dies and some of your stuff heals. It's not like a mass, like Duskbreaker is a mass early game wipe that's going to get just about everything that's been played that early.
Yeah.
And Psychic Scream's going to just get everything. So
I know it's frustrating, but you Baku and Gen Paladins can just reload the board like nothing happened. It's crazy. Like Duskbreaker used to mean something, but now you just like need him not to get blown out. And like you probably will just still lose after. It's crazy.
I've been like trying to play around it less and less. Like I've been trying to bait it a lot. I'm just like, look how many 1/1s I have. And then they're like, I get better Duskbreaker before he levels up, and then they do it and I'm like, all right, cool, here's 5 more silver hands. You know, so
yeah, exactly.
I definitely I see that it is very much needed, but whenever it happens, it still pisses me off. So that's why it's my salty card.
I get it.
So moving
up next
on,
will be mine,
yes,
right?
Your salty card, which is
Spiteful Summoner.
Spiteful
That's
Summoner.
why I threw that little winky face in the chat was for you, Louis Do, because he knows what's up. Spiteful Summoner, like when I was at first reviewing this card, I definitely saw like the power level and the potential, and I was like excited about it because it is a new mechanic to Hearthstone. There's nothing really comparable to it. There's nothing really like it, but it is so individually powerful, especially for an epic, like something that's not a legendary. It's really like changing the game of Hearthstone like entirely. Like, there's a couple cards doing that right now, and I think that any card that does that is a bad thing. Like, you know, you could say that of Reno when he was, you know, because when they're neutral, and not only just one class can use it, it just ends up changing so much of the game, and it's like there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cards. Like, why does it always have to come down to Spiteful Summoner? So, like, if you're playing some sort of type of priest deck that you're excited about because you wanted to try it, and you match up against a priest deck that's using Spiteful Summoner, you're gonna lose. That's just pretty much how it goes. Yeah. Like, I'm trying Baku Druid right now, and I matched up against Spiteful Druid, and you just lose. Like, Spiteful Summoner is such a huge board swing, and such like a reliable and easy way to cheat out stats for under cost that it's just kind of not, it's like it ends up not being as exciting as it seems, because all it really is putting big stats on the board. And it's not hard to pull off, and you can, like you said, it's neutral, so you can just stick it in any deck. And whenever one comes down, I'm just like, oh, here we go. Like, what's it gonna be? Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it makes it a little too easy. I don't know if it needs to be more mana. I don't know, probably more mana. Yeah, it's really just the mana cheating aspect of it. Like, you get out of Tarantus on turn 6, and it becomes suddenly very hard for your opponent to win. So that's my problem with it. It's just, you always have to wonder, like, is this a spiteful version of this deck? Because if it is, if I don't have an answer, if they have a Spiteful Summoner on curve, I'm in trouble. And like, almost any deck can do it. Like, I was messing with Mage. I was doing like an all elemental synergy Mage, and then I was just like, how about I throw some Pyroblasts and some Blizzards in there and Spiteful Summoner, and we'll be good to go. But pretty much the answer to this card is a deck that doesn't care how big your minions are unless they have Taunt, which is exactly Gen and Baku Paladins. So they just don't care. They're like, oh, cool, your 12/12 is super impressive, but I'm just going to keep jamming damage to your face. I have 7 5/5 taunts, so deal with that. Yeah, exactly. That's the problem. But I agree. This card tilts me quite good. So next up is, I think, everybody's favorite segment, our card creation challenge, where we give you, the audience, the chance to play the role of a Hearthstone card designer and make up a card based on whatever prompt we give you. And then the next week, we pick our 6 favorites. We put them up on the screen. We talk about them, tell you what we think about them. And it's just a whole lot of fun. We always use hearthcards.net to make the cards. It makes it super easy to put in your art, your text, whatever you want. And if you would please save them as .png images and submit them to us on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is @SaltyDogPodcast. That's pretty much the only way to submit them to us, I think, that would make sense. So follow us on Twitter if you don't already. And most of you do in chat right now, I see. But anyway, let's... so last week's prompt was my prompt. Were you going to say something? Hold on. Really quick. I just wanted to say that we are not quite ready, unless you wanted to skip this part. We missed the Q&A. Q&A.
Let's do that. So we got a couple, and I actually think there might be another one that I missed. We got a couple questions. Hunter Smith asks, so Dookie, what were you more excited for on that fateful day, the release of Witchwood or the 8-bit Mega Man outfit for your cat in Monster Hunter? Definitely Witchwood. I appreciate the 8-bit Mega Man outfit for the Palico, but it looks a little janky. It's like, it's 8-bit, but it's 3D, so it's all like blocky. And I would have much preferred him having like a actual, just a real Mega Man outfit instead of this goofy looking thing. So, but I still need to get that. I'm still going to get it, obviously. But Witchwood definitely took priority on that fateful day.
Right on.
Tachyon Railgun asks, I've been storing up questions for 3 weeks. What happens if you give a charge minion rush? Still can charge, I think.
I still don't know the answer to this question. I was listening to them talk about this actually on the Angry Chicken, and it almost might actually come down to which ability was given to it most recently or first. It's kind of weird because the caveat of rush is that it can't attack face. Like, it's literally like coded into the ability itself. So if you played it, theoretically, if you played a charge minion and then you had a spell called rush, you know, with 1 mana, give a minion rush, and you gave that minion rush, it theoretically wouldn't be able to attack face any longer. Because rush says
the way
no attacking face.
The way I think the enchantment would be worded is like, rush doesn't say this can't attack heroes, because that's already a given. That's already programmed into the minion that you play, because minions can't attack heroes on the first turn. So I think all rush is doing is enabling it to attack minions that first turn. I don't think rush says it can't attack heroes. So if you were to add charge, then what charge says is it can attack. So
has anyone tested this? Does anyone know?
Yeah, if someone's tested it, we would like to know. But I think it would. I think if you gave a rush minion charge, it would be able to charge, because charge.
Yeah, I would think that. I'm just wondering if rush wouldn't nerf a charge minion. That's
if you gave a charge minion rush,
like, I think charge would buff a rush minion, but I'm wondering if rush nerfs a charge minion.
Yeah, unless the wording of rush is literally it can't attack heroes, then I think it would nerf it. But I think the wording of rush is just it can attack minions this turn. So it would just be redundant. But I don't know. I don't know either. That's what my guess would be. I'm sure it's been answered, but like I'm not gonna go like scroll through Reddit and find it. Sorry. It's a good question though. So the second question was, are there any viable mage decks with Baku or Gen? You seem to lose way too much either way. I tried to make a Baku deck with big spells, but like you can't even use Blizzard. It's like, what are you even doing? Like it's so weird because they took away like a lot of Mage's big spells, or like at least one of the most important ones, Firelands Portal. It would fit really nicely into a Baku deck, but it's gone. Blizzard's even. You can't even use Dragoncaller or Alana because the big spells that you need to activate her to actually be a good card are even and odd, so you can't have them in the same deck. There's not even a non-even or odd big spell mage deck that you can use. Either way, you're just losing to Paladin, because like if you are, because especially if you're using Baku Mage, because using 2 mana to deal 2 damage means absolutely nothing to Paladin, because they're making either 1 mana 1/1s, or they're always making 1 mana 1/1s, but it's just in what increments are they doing it for 1 or 2 mana. So it's just I don't think that it's in the cards. Yeah, no, literally for Mage to be odd or even right now, or to be anything except for
what they're making every class, which is a super on-board, use low-cost minions thing. Or
Yeah. Yeah, I actually tried it yesterday, I think. I tried it with elementals, but you lose too many elementals, making it odd or even. I tried it with Spiteful. That didn't really work. So, yeah. It might just not be possible to do odd or even with
At least
Mage.
not right now.
Not right now.
It's not like the right environment.
And most importantly, why do birds fly?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I guess because they gotta go.
Probably because they have to go.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they're birds. They're everywhere. Well, they gotta get around.
They gotta go.
I don't know.
I
don't know anything about birds.
From Katie Plays, we got the question: GIF or GIF? So
I'm gonna bow out of this question. I can't.
graphics. So you're asking graphics interchange format or peanut butter? And I prefer graphics interchange format. It brings me more joy than peanut butter does. So
right.
There's my answer. I mean, based on her spelling, that's what she's asking.
Right? No, it's just like, I know it's like, how do you pronounce it or whatever. I don't know. Apparently professionals say GIF.
Well, they're stupid.
I agree.
So this one is from Noah Wilder. Number 1, if you had a week around the world, all expenses paid, what would you do?
A week around the world?
Yeah, it's a tough one.
I mean, in this fantasy, is travel also equally as unbelievable, and you can just get there immediately? Because if we're going with standard Earth traveling rates, I'd probably just go to one place. A week's not that long.
It's true. All expenses. Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming no teleporting, but you could probably get a super good jet to take you somewhere. If
super good jet. I'd probably get a super good. What's that?
If all expenses are paid,
Yeah, if all expenses are paid. I don't know. It's kind of a toss-up because I'm interested in going to 2 places. Like probably above anything else. One of them would be Japan, just because I'm deep down inside, I'm still just a weeaboo. And I just want to experience Japanese culture and like go and check all that stuff out. And then the other thing would be Belgium, because I think that the countryside always looks really beautiful, and I'm also like a huge craft beer nerd, and I want to go see like those monasteries and like all of the oldest breweries in the world.
Yeah.
And they make my favorite kinds of beer there, so.
Yeah, I mean, my answer is basically the same as yours. Like, yeah, Japan for sure is a thing that needs to happen. Although what I might do is make a week itinerary in order to get all of the region exclusives in Pokemon Go in 1 week, because you got to go to Australia, Japan, and Europe. So that would probably take the whole week to bounce between all those places, and then I could fill out my Pokedex. So
oh my god, you're planning your world vacation around Pokemon Go. Someone kill me.
It's all expenses paid, so might as well go ham. And there was another question from Noah Wilder. Would you rather listen to nothing but Billy Joel or Hank Williams for the rest of your life?
Can you tell me what they did?
Billy Joel's Piano Man, and Hank Williams is a old-timey country singer.
I knew Billy Joel, but like I just didn't know the other one. I would take Billy Joel. Yeah,
as much as I like some old country, Hank Williams isn't exactly my jam, so I'd go Billy Joel.
Yeah, Billy Joel's, Piano Man's great.
And then the last question is, would you like to be a character in my D&D campaign, i.e. have a character built around you? Sure.
Yeah, definitely.
I'd be honored.
That would be cool. Can I have a cat?
Yeah, I was going to say, make sure Clash has a cat.
Like a wizard with a familiar.
Yeah. Okay, so that's all our Q&A. And now...
Okay, wow, we got more questions than I even thought we had. So now back to the creation challenge, which he was already explaining.
Unless Aoricos had a question I missed apparently, but I think we need to keep it moving. Onto the card creation challenge. So here we go.
Prepare yourself for the ultimate test.
All right, so first up for our card creation challenge, we have Dougie Fresh with Pirate Emperor Hornagold. He's a horny man. He is a 10 mana 7/6 legendary neutral pirate that says your pirates have charge. Battle cry, recruit 6 pirates.
What?
So I guess you just win.
10 mana win. Wow, that's insane. Holy crap. I actually haven't seen these yet because Dookie picked them, but man, like there's some good pirates, you know, like they're not all just like low cost 1-drops. Like they got, some of them got stats.
And I mean, you recruit 2 South Sea captains in there, and that's buffing everything by +2/+2, or yeah. +2/+2. So I don't know. It depends. Like it is turn 10 for a pirate deck. You might,
that's true.
You might be out of pirates. You might recruit like 2 pirates.
That's also, yeah. I mean, that's
so
true.
It's hard. It's hard to see how it would actually play out. It sounds nuts, but
it's neutral, so you could run this in Druid and just like mana ramp with like Nourish and shit. And just, like,
yeah, perfect.
Get him out quickly,
and then just win. Yeah, of course. Yeah, Pirate Druid. It's happening.
Happened before.
Pirate Druid 2018. So up next from I'm a Dragon, we have Duke Clash, Saltiest Dog.
Oh, we had a child.
Yeah, this is our dog baby. So this is a 5 mana 5/5 legendary pirate hunter minion, and it has battle cry. For the rest of the game, friendly pirates also count as beasts.
Ooh,
so I feel like
tribal shit going on.
Yeah, I feel like we had something like this in the past with one of our card submissions where it was like literally a salty dog and it had like pirate and beast synergy.
Yeah.
But I like it. I mean, a 5 mana 5/5 is you know pretty standard, and then turning your friendly pirates into beasts will enable some you know hunter shenanigans.
Yeah, definitely.
Some kill commands, some crackling razor maws, some hound masters, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean,
you know,
having beasts and hunter is good, and pirates used to be really good for aggressive classes, so it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. I'd run it, and also you know just the reference to our show is nice.
Thank you.
Up next from Jesse Nash, I really liked this one. Ching Shi, Pirate Queen. I have heard of her. This is an actual historical figure.
Okay.
And yeah, she was just like a bad bitch who stole people's ships and was like, fuck you, I'm the captain now. And ended up with like some giant fleet that could take whatever she wanted. And but anyway, so this is a hero card. It's 5 mana, it gives you 5 armor, and it has battle cry to summon 2 ship's cannons. And then her hero power is man the deck. Summon a random friendly pirate that died this game.
So ship's cannons, by the way, for people unfamiliar with Wild, are 2 mana 2/3s that actually shoot a random enemy target for 2 whenever a pirate is summoned. So getting 2 of those, you're already getting 2 like pretty decent minions for 5 mana. You're getting 5 armor and 2 2/3s with a great ability. And then the hero power is pretty cheap to summon back a pirate and getting 2 blasts of 2 damage. Like, this is actually incredibly powerful.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you play it on curve, your cannons could die. But if you play it on turn 7, you can just hero power and get a free pirate and then boom, boom. So,
yep, and you can play it even later and play a bunch of 1-drop pirates alongside it, and you really ramp up the damage.
Yeah. I don't know, it might be a little OP, but I definitely
like the flavor of it.
I really like the flavor of it. It's super cool. She's just like, I'm here, got my cannons, let's go, boys.
Yep, start blasting. Yeah, that's very piratey.
Very piratey. The next one is from Peter Ciarelli, Captain J, Ghost of the Coast.
Ghost of the Coast.
Ghost of the Coast. He's a 5-mana, 7/1 neutral pirate. He has start of game. If all minions in your deck have 1 health, give them Battle Cry, gain health equal to this card's mana cost.
Wow,
So,
that's like, I was thinking the whole time the effect would go aggressive, but it's like actually super, super like defensive.
Well, yes and no. It's tempo is what it is. I mean, so...
Oh, the minion gains health.
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking it was restoring health to the hero. That's what I was thinking.
Oh, so like Magma
Yeah.
Rager comes down as a 5. What? How much mana is he? 3? 2? 3?
Yeah, he's 3.
So he
he'd
comes-
be a 5/3 or
5/4.
No, he would be a 5/4.
5/4 for 3
insane.
for 3 mana.
That actually ends up that's a very interesting ability. Oh, and as Aoricos pointed out, I think Peter actually goes by Electman. We usually call him
Yes,
Electman.
that's the same person. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought this was a cool idea. Another start of game effect. You know, incentivizes you to run all these shitty cards that have 1 health because, you know, most of them aren't good unless they're like a 1-drop.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, I mean, that even makes your, you know, your 1 mana 2/1s or 1 mana 2/2s now. So it's very tempo aggro as fuck.
It's a good ability.
Yeah,
It really is.
yeah.
I read it wrong first, but the way that it is, I mean, you just want your minions to have more health. It's just good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it seems OP, but I guess the drawback is you just have to, you can only use those minions with 1 health.
Yeah.
So it may or may not be enough to like hold you back, but it's still, it's still a cool idea. I like it.
There are certain classes that can pull it off.
Definitely.
All right.
Up next from Rents and Captain Mick Jenkins the Curious. This is a 5-mana 6/2 rush battle cry. Look at 3 cards. Guess which one started in your opponent's deck to gain charge instead.
Oh, so this is Curious Glimmerroot for charge.
Yeah, on Leroy. So
Captain McJenkins.
Yep. I think this might be a little OP because Leroy's drawback is the 2 whelps, and that, you know, that just kills him. So you just get the 1 attack in. But if you can play a 6/2 charge with no drawback just by guessing a card right, which you're usually able to do, then that's just straight up better than Leroy.
It is.
So that might, I don't know. There might need to be another drawback in there.
I do really like the flavor of it, and also, I mean, I'm assuming that this should be a pirate, like Pirate Tribe.
Oh,
But,
well, yeah.
Yeah, but I really like the flavor of it. It's kind of funny, like re-envisioning Leroy as a pirate. It's cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. I was always wishing Leroy was a pirate when I was playing Pirate Warrior.
Right? He would be good as a pirate.
Yeah. So that one's really funny. So up next, last one from Wade Stevens. This is Edward Thatch, aka Blackbeard. He is a 6-mana 5/6 rush pirate, legendary, neutral. He has rush. He gives your other pirates rush, and he has battle cry, summon Queen Anne's Revenge, which I believe is his ship. And Queen Anne's Revenge is a 4/6, counts as a pirate, and whenever a pirate attacks, it deals 2 damage to the enemy hero. This one is busted.
Yeah, it's just too much. I mean, 6 mana to get all those stats. That's just like, what?
Yeah.
And they also have abilities and stuff.
I just really liked the Blackbeard flavor of it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, some of these cards were actually like historical pirates, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
So I kind
That's
of
a cool idea.
I kind of based a lot of decisions about them on that, you know, just cool flavor. So
Yeah.
but yeah, this one's super broken. Super broken.
Yeah.
But still a cool card. So up next is my card creation. I wanted to kind of relate this guy to Witchwood if I could. So he is called Swamp Captain Duke. He's a pirate, neutral, and he's actually like a dog pirate. And he is a 4 mana, 4/5. That says, if a minion swaps its attack and health in your hand, give it +1/+1, and it becomes a pirate. So all those pretty bad attack and health swapping cards we've had printed in Witchwood get buffed by this guy, as long as they're in your hand while he's in play. So, you know, I don't know how often that's going to happen, but it's still good. And then it makes them pirates. So then there's pirate synergy. And you know, the fact that he's like a dog, or possibly he could be a worgen, is why he synergizes with the attack and health swapping mechanic. So that's my card.
All right. I like the idea of it. It's cool. I think the first thing that I thought about it was that it's like you're recruiting like werewolves into the pirate army.
Yeah.
Which is like a cool thought, is like you want to like recruit them because they're strong, you know, like you want to have like this crazy pirate like werewolf thing going on.
Oh yeah, and I mean he's a swamp captain, so he's been sailing the high swamps of Witchwood. He's not out there on the sea. He's actually just recruiting. Yeah, right out of the Witchwood, recruiting him some doggos.
Yeah, so it's good flair. I like it. It's good.
That's his deal. Up next is yours, the Spectral Captain. Do you want to tell us about the Spectral Captain?
Yes, the Spectral Captain. As far as pirates go, I've always, I guess my favorite like interpretation of pirates, which is like a pretty common interpretation, especially ever since Pirates of the Caribbean became like a huge movie, is like the undead, like, you know, spectral pirate. So what I wanted to do here was like, I kind of did this top down, you know, like since we were talking about this earlier, like I didn't start with the ability. Like I wanted to make a card that gave pirates death rattle. I wanted to design a pirate that gave the feel of like giving pirates like a, you know, a life beyond death or whatever. Yeah. So I wanted him to be a good statted minion just in his own right, because I feel like that's what they need to be in a pirate deck. So he's a 5 mana 5/5. So I didn't want his ability to be entirely too strong. His battle cry is give all friendly pirates death rattle, summon a 1/1 spirit. So you would already have to have like a huge board full of pirates for this to even be like a big deal. Like if you've just got 1 or 2 pirates out, it's not even really that great. And if you have none, he's just a 5 mana 5/5 pirate. And like the flair of this card would be, you know, like in some crazy, like echoing, like booming voice, he'd be like, you know, follow me and you'll live forever or whatever. Yeah. And they all gain like this, you know, like they're just gonna like live past death. Yeah, that was the whole thing. Yeah,
no, definitely super cool idea. The whole the pirate's curse, you know. Yeah. Even though it's not a curse, it's dope. You know.
Yeah, it's just dope. It's not a curse at all. You're right.
So yeah, no, it's super cool. So that does it for the show today, I think.
I think so.
Unless we have any final thoughts here. But
I don't.
Do you have a prompt for us for next week?
Oh, snap. For next week.
Do you need a minute to think about that?
Yeah, why don't you do the whole thing?
All right, so if you enjoy the show, consider following us on Twitter. You can find us at Salty Dog Podcast, or you can follow our individual Twitters. Mine is at Dookie Shed, and Clash's is at KLASHE_HS. You can check out me on Twitch at twitch.tv/DookieShed, which is actually where this stream is taking place. But normally it will be on twitch.tv/Clash_HS. And we try to stream every Tuesday on Clash's channel at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, sometimes Hearthstone, sometimes other fun games, maybe some Dauntless, since that's a cool thing. And be sure to give us good ratings and likes and thumbs up and 5 apples if you're listening on iTunes, because I assume that's their currency. Yeah. Give us some love. You got one?
I think I do. So basically, like, what I want is a high cost weapon. So what I'm going to say is based on how Hearthstone, the client, allows you to filter things, 7+ mana weapon. Because I feel like the game always falls short, like the design always falls short on weapons that are supposed to be like huge and have a good impact on the game. Like basically the biggest weapon two weapons that really see play are Gore Howl and Vine Cleaver.
Yeah.
And then I guess the Silver Sword's seeing a little bit of play or whatever, but like Woe Cleaver kind of fell short, Rune Spear kind of fell short. I think it would be cool to see some weapons that are very heavy and are worth investing the mana in a weapon that late in the game. And I don't think we've seen much of that. So 7+ mana weapon that
agree.
has like a big cool effect. Like you want to feel like you're wielding some badass sword of legend, into battle.
I like that. I like that prompt. I always like making weapons for the card creation challenge, and they're really and I'm obsessed with WoW gear. Like I can remember like the most absurd, like where something drops, like what dungeon something drops from. So I like this idea a lot, and a lot of our high cost weapons just suck. So that's a good one. Yeah, seven costs or more weapon that you would actually want to play.
Right on.
Louis Du says, make an oozable card.
You're not wrong.
A card worth oozing for.
Maybe we'll actually ooze again.
Yeah. Make ooze great again.
Yeah, make Harrison great again.
Yeah. That shit belongs in the museum.
Make a weapon worthy of the museum.
Yeah, that's right.
I did not look at any cards as far as that, but we'll talk about that after in a sec.
All right, guys.
I think that is it for the show. Yep. Though, correct?
Yep, that is our show. We will see you guys next time, next Thursday, same bad time, unless you come to our Tuesday stream. So there's always that. Stay salty.
Stay salty.